Hello? Yes, Vishruth.
Yes, sir. Just a second, sir. Sir, are you there? Martin, sir?
Vishruth, I'm available. Yeah.
Oh, okay, sir. Okay.
Okay.
You can start, Divya.
Yes. So, shall we start the session?
Please, it's your session. You are the leaders.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please.
So, good evening to one and all present here. I, G Vaishnav, on behalf of first year MHRM G Vaishnav College, welcome you all for today's webinar on the topic Journey of Managing Self to Managing Leaders of Leaders. Let us welcome our speaker for the day, Mr. Varshad V Varghese, Manager HR Dept, Tractors and Farm Equipment Limited. Mr. Varshad V Varghese has more than 14 years of experience in human resources. He has worked with best-in-class leaders and organizations. Mr. Varshad V Varghese has an immense knowledge with working experience in areas of talent acquisition, talent management, capability enhancement, performance management, and employee engagement. Industries he has contributed over the period are MRF Tires, Mahindra and Mahindra, Murugappa Group of TI Cycles, and Tafe, Tractor and Farming Equipment. Mr. Varshad V Varghese has completed Masters of Social Work from Bhardhidasan University, PGD HRM from Madras School of Social Work. Mr. Varshad V Varghese has done numerous certifications such as Psychology at Work from MSSW, General Management Certification from Bhardhidasan University, HR Analytics from IFMR Graduate School of Business, Cross-Functional Education from NParadigm, Thomas PPA Certification from Thomas International. We welcome you, sir. Now, I would like to introduce our head of the Department of Human Resource Management, G Vaishnav College, Dr.N.C. Martin. He is an highly experienced academician and has about 20 years of academic and administrative experience as professor, HOD, dean, and registrar. He did his postgraduate in labor management and PhD in labor laws from Tamil Nadu Institute of Labour Studies. He started his career as a lecturer from the same institution. He held various positions in arts and science colleges, engineering, and media college. He held academic positions in various educational such as Sri Chandraprabhu Jain College as assistant professor and HOD of MSW department, Sam's College of Engineering and Technology as a professor and HOD of MBA department. He was also the placement officer for entire division of Sam's College of Engineering and Technology. During his tenure, he successfully placed engineering and management graduates in top-notch companies of manufacturing and services sectors across the country. He continued his career in St. Joseph College of Arts and Science as a Dean of Academics and L.V. Prasad Film School, one of the best film schools in Asia, working as a registrar. He acted as a jury representing the Employers Federation of Southern India for the selection of companies for the best practices for the year 2018 to 19. He has added number of research papers and publication to his credit, and he is expert in the subject of labor legislation and industry relation. He has given centum results in various HR specialized subjects in the university examination. We welcome you, sir. This meeting will be recorded for educational purposes. In case of any doubts or questions, the participants can unmute themselves or type the question in the chat box. Feedback link for the webinar will be posted in the chat box at the end of the meeting. Now, I request Dr. N.C. Martin to speak a few words about the topic for the day. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction. Very pleasant good evening to one and all being present to attend this national webinar. On behalf of management, Secretary Ashok Kumar Mundra, our Principal Dr. Santosh Babu, I welcome everyone, every participant for this webinar. And I'm very pleased to welcome our resource person, Varshad V Varghese, Manager HR Cafe. So thank you, sir, for giving your consent to host the webinar for students. So I'm really very happy to announce that. So this webinar is of 37th series where we started from the day of lockdown. So the topic today, a journey of self to managing leaders of leaders. So before going to a conceptual understanding, so I could say that today our resource person is going to highlight and share his expertise on this area where he can throw much light on career pathing, how one can sail across when he has been starting his whatever they carry in any organization. So this career pathing, so it's a process used by an employee to chart a course within an organization and for the career plan and also for a career development. So an employee before devising their career pathing, so they has to first understand what knowledge and skills and personal characteristics and experiences are required for them to progress in their career. So laterally, through access to promotion and also by means of maybe by department transfer. So this career pathing requires an employee to take an honest look at the career goals and also set the skills needed. And so what is the knowledge to be they have to improve during that career, and also the experience and the personal characteristics will be the matter. So it requires an employee to make a plan to obtain so what is necessary for so each of these area to carry out their career path. So a career path plan is also a critical factor in performance development planning, where a supervisor and a reporting employee, so they meet to discuss and plan and development opportunities for the employees. So this performance development planning is really very important, because it is written and also being shared with the supervisor and being tracked by the organization for effectiveness. And it has been reviewed regularly also by at least maybe a quarterly. So the performance appraisal in some organization is also an opportunity for a career pathing. So the career path comprises about the employees' desired destinations and the steps and the experience and development they need to make a progress on the journey. So a career path gives an employee a sense of direction and a way to access the career progress and an opportunity to achieve their career goals and so milestones along the way. So developing a career path is easier and more supported in organization. So that has a well PDP process. Okay. So in order to have effective performance and appraisal or a career planning process. So however, an individual employee can make their career path, and an employee may also deserve a thoughtful career path plan. So, in order to have effective career path planning and development, the employees have to see and understand their next opportunities within the company in discussing with the supervisors. So, this is especially an important for ambitious employee who want to and having to expect to see a career development opportunities to be satisfied and to get motivated at their work. So, with this, I conclude and leave the sessions to a resource person through share and expertise and throw much light on the area of career pathing. So, thank you. All the best. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr.N.C. Martin. And I think this is a wonderful opportunity for me. Okay, I think there is enough introduction of mine being given by Divesh. Thanks for that. I'll start presenting. Give me a 1 minute. I'll just start presenting my slide.
Yes, sure.
Are you able to see my slide?
Yes, sir. We can.
Yes, visible.
Yes, sir.
So, good evening to all. I think thanks for the DJ Vaishnav for giving me a wonderful opportunity to interact with a set of leaders who've been getting groomed. Okay. Before starting the session, I've been blessed with working with Mr. Saravanan MP, I think, who is a alumni of yours. So I've been reporting to him in my previous tenure with TI cycles. So I had one colleague who worked with me also from DG Vaishnav, Mr. Drubat Bhatt. So he was reporting to me in TA. So I had opportunities to work with some of the young buds and one of the leader in the HR fraternity. So I think I've been already experienced the quality of the students from DG Vaishnav. So second thing, before I'm starting to the session, if I'm little faster in my communication, please let me know so that I can pause it in between. If you see, second thing I would like to appreciate all of you, okay, because the journey to the leadership is actually starts with a lot of initiatives. So I think today at somewhere at 6:40, I can see some 50 plus students who've been available to attend this session. Okay, today's world, making yourself competent is very tough, but still making yourself on a Saturday available for such a session actually being really required to be appreciated. So I'll start with a very small story. I think most of you would have been heard this story, a story of a successful leader. Okay, Mr. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Most of us, every Indian or maybe the world knows him by his own contributions. The story was in 1979. There was a project which he was being as a project director, and the mission was put up late in the orbit. So there are thousands of people worked on for 10 years, and the time when the launch being actually planned, there was some technical glitches which happened on a computer-based systems or technology, and he been very confident he surpassed it. He actually decided to move ahead again with that even technical errors been, but it became a failure at that point of time. So as a leader, he find extremely difficult to managing failure. Okay, most of us been really struggling to handle failures. So he also faced the same situation where his leader, who was actually ISR of chief at that point of time, Sadish Dhawan, he came forward, took the responsibility and looked at his eyes and actually took all the blames, criticisms, everything from the newspapers, from the society, all he been taken as a leader, and he assured to the society actually the product will be launched in an year. And later the stage, it been a successful story. At that moment of time, Mr. Satish Dhawan been asking APJ Abdul Kalam to take the ownership, go and actually take the pride of success. So that's what the transition is all about. Okay, from a student at DG Vaishnav to become the leader of maybe the nation. Okay, the limits, the opportunities you may not be really aware about today. So we don't know who will be sitting at this program or maybe attending this session, at what level we will actually meet up at the later of time. Okay, so that's an opportunity. This is the transition which actually everybody should try for. So career pathing in an organization and individual. Okay, these career pathing as such, I didn't think organization alone cannot drive. HR as a function alone cannot drive. Okay, it required a lot of contribution from individuals, all of us. Okay, individual, a student, a teacher. Okay, an HR person, an organization. A lot of system has to be worked together. So career pathing is giving you a visualized possible career path scenarios for an individual. Okay, and in between actually the individual and organization try to acquire and develop necessary skills, education and competencies to achieve their dream career in an organization, maybe in entrepreneurship. So career path is not alone in actually in an organizational setup. Okay, if you see today, you all are a student. Okay, so tomorrow you become a professional. Today, maybe few later, after years, after professional career, you will actually become a parent to a grandparent. So the journey, the career path is actually, it's alone, not only in an organization. It's that inflation points you have to face it at different places. So I will start with the model. Okay, obviously session is for students, so something I have to talk very solid. So what Mahala's career path model is what I have taken. Okay, so it talks about the journey of manage self, manage others, manage manager, functional manager, business manager, group manager, and enterprise manager. I have clubbed it as all leaders. Okay, when you become manager's manager, obviously you start leading the function, or you leading the business, or you leading the organization. Okay, so the story, I'll managing self. Okay, you as a student, any of questions you have, please raise your hand so that I'm able to answer it. Managing self, what you require when you are actually walking to an organization, what is the expectations at a managing self. So managing self is relatively, you start with your knowledge, and your education gives you a first step. Okay, for an HR function, when you see you will be joining as an executive or a management trainee, your education and your knowledge, conceptual understanding in HR will be the area which will be considered. Okay, when you come into an organization, what being expected by the organization, or maybe by the management, or by the people around you. Okay, first thing is your personal effectiveness, how you as an individual cuts across. Okay, second thing is, a very important thing is your attitude, and third one is your learning inclusiveness, how much you are ready to learn. Okay, very important. You will think whatever you have been undergoing today at your class room sessions, okay, is going to actually make the success in your career. Okay, this is only a stepping stone. You get the basics, but the world is entirely different, where you're learning inclusiveness, continuous learning is very important. Okay, and then interpersonal relations, these are the largest things which play in a managing self. Then you move to managing others. The transition I will talk, I will just want to give a little brief about that. Okay, managing self. Okay, where you start having a people management skills, where you have to start handling people. Okay, you start delegating, you start delivering, or result orientation, you will start showing it. You start setting team goals. Basically you will be doing, or maybe you will be start setting your goals for your team of 3 or 4. Okay, then team performance, you start monitoring your team performance. Okay, and Managing managers and managing leaders will come slowly. Okay, how it differs, how the transition differs. Basically, if you see my right hand side in your PPT, you can see actually the functional competencies, task orientation, and SOPs will become larger strength in the lower grid of what Mahler's career path model. Okay, you in managing self, you start looking at standard operating procedures. Okay, you will look at doing something. You are really doers. You start doing things, and you will be excellent in your functional competencies. For an example, an HR person, when you comes as a management trainee, you will get a more of a generalist or a specialist area where you will start showing or showcasing your skills or conceptual understanding. Okay, you start following an SOP which that organization have. Then the journey starts. Okay, the journey starts. It goes one level to the other. Slowly, you will build the leadership competencies, cultural building. Okay, people management. All that will become very important in each steps. Okay, so I'll explain the story. Okay, story in an office how it happens. Okay, so now you see, I one side I have shown a growth in manufacturing setup. Since I am from a manufacturing setup, I'm not talking about IT much. I'm talking about manufacturing environment. An engineer, I'm given one line. Okay, please understand your career path is not only a single line; it's a multi-dimensional. For example, a production engineer in the growth stage, I have shown only production, how he grows. Okay, production engineer will become a shift in charge, or shift in charge become a production manager, and from production manager become a factory manager or a plant manager. Okay, how the each transition happens. Production engineer, what you really think it will work for? Okay, a production engineer will have a standard metrics for operating a machine. Okay, operating a machine or operating an assembly. Okay, if you take an example of my factory where I work, it's a factory which assemble tractors. Okay, the tractor is it's completely, if you see, it's a assembled parts from different organizations or different OE companies. Okay, so basically it comes with a lot of parts comes in, and actually they start assembly. Okay, so the production engineers start following an SOP which has to be, for example, my flywheel is first part to be connected. He start with that. He goes the step by step to integrate one by one part of a tractor or an automobile car or whichever the segment. At the last it comes to the wheel and testing process. So he follows that standard operating procedures, and his excellence or his required competency is actually following that SOP, then understanding the assembly process. Okay, the task orientation, and 8 hours means 8 hours, and the break is for 15 minutes. It's a very disciplined way they work. Where it moves to shift in charge. Okay, he become started collating number of people who is a production engineer. He may have a quality engineer. Okay, who may have a testing. There are a lot of people, different vertical employees who be in a self managers who will be called an individual contributor in an environment, whose different multiple individual contributors, his shift in charge will become start collating it. He ensures a lot of functional competence where he become an expert, where a production in charge is stuck in something, where a shift in charge comes and plays, corrects. Okay, try to make him, he become an expert in that area. He's try to actually help them. Production manager, when it happens, okay, what will happen? He will start being delivering a number for that day. For my sales plan, okay, someone is given me 100 numbers to be produced at X plant. He will be largely coordinating with supply chain. Okay, he will be working with R&D. He may be working with sales team to understand the requirement. He start his verticals, his competencies cut across to different functions. He start working with shift in charges to ensure that deliveries. Okay, the individual journey starts and factory manager goes in. That's the way it been actually structured. Okay, now a sales representative, you have to understand both. So giving me different examples so that you can understand, okay, how a production line works. Okay, Now you see a production engineer, he can grow to multiple roles. For example, he can become a quality guy, he can become a production engineer who does the line balancing, industrial engineering studies, a lot of other things. Even he can move to a materials engineer role, he can become a purchase engineer. Okay, so lot of opportunities there. Actually the growth line is only shown in one multiple. For if you take an HR vertical, okay, you may join as a management training. The opportunity you will have in place is actually to grow how your skills, how your knowledge you build, and the organization facilitated. In that way, you can become a specialist in center of excellence. The organized structure is really changing, and the business is driven by business HRs. And there is a shared services system where the transactions of an HR function or an employee related queries or grievances being handled by a one team. So your transition can be to either one. Okay, and then there is a layers which actually goes, so where you can actually become an expert and functional head. So that's the way the HR vertical may go. So in this case of sales representatives, it will be little easy to understand, less complex is sales to explain. Okay, a sales representative will start looking to a one dealership. Are you all able to follow me? This is one of the problem when you do an online session. I just want to understand, are you all able to follow me?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir. We
Okay.
can.
Any questions or something which you have to, you been actually have any doubts or something which I'm going very fast? You have something in your mind?
No, sir. It's great going. You can
Okay.
continue the same way.
Okay. So
Yes, sir.
a sales representative is basically he responsible for a one retail shop, or maybe different industry, it may be called in different terms. Okay, at the end where the consumer walks in, that can be a retailer shop, that can be a small shop where is near to your home, can be a dealership. Okay, or maybe a distribution point. So he will handle multiple, okay, with the span of control, whatever by defined by an organization, he will handle one or two dealership or something. Okay, where he become responsible for a small territory. Okay, for example, Tamil Nadu as a state, if you take, a sales representative will be handling Chennai, half of Chennai. Okay, and he will be responsible with two or three dealers where the consumers comes in. Okay, and inquiry generation happens. So he will more focused on generating inquiries, converting inquiries into sales. Okay, his capabilities or his skills will be revolving around that. Okay, he will be required a lot of product understanding. So because the customer, when he walks in, he may ask a question, he should be able to answer to it. So he whenever you walk into a dealership buying a bike, okay, in your case, you will ask several questions that individual will answer to you in terms of product. Okay, in terms of torque, in terms of speed, in terms of specs. That is product knowledge. So in a managing level, managing self, employee, he required to be an expert in his area. Okay, second one, how he creates or build his relationship. Okay, he will, in keeping first time consumer, he will be trying to convert them to a prospective customer to him. Okay, the customers have multiple options, how I can actually pitch my sales to that individual consumer and make him to choose my product. So his expertise will be revolving around interpersonal skills, product understanding, okay, trying to influence that customer and make the dealer to actually make the systems process thriving in that dealership. So all the standards which set by the organization at that level. So he normally behaves as a gatekeeper for the systems. The next level, he will become, okay, acquiring some of the competencies. Okay, he will develop himself. He will actually become a people manager, where an area sales manager may handle entire Chennai, where you will have a 5 sales officers or sales representatives will be reporting to him, where an ASM will become responsible for a larger territory. Okay, his span of control is increasing, where a TTM is handling only 2. Okay, slowly he will become actually handling 10 or 15. Okay, where a TTM or where a sales representative is handling somewhere around 3 crores of sales revenue, and ASM will start handling the 20 crores of sales revenue. Okay. So slowly his span of control, his complexity in taking decisions, and his discussion with dealers or retailers, okay, will become more business driven. And he has to ensure the set target for his territory being driven by 5. Okay. And balance, a lot of balance and check, and ASMs or maybe that second layer managers start doing it. How the balance happens? For example, I have 5 sales representative working with me, but I cannot expect all 5 of them equally performing or equally delivering. Or human, please understand, all humans have a different sort of competency set, different set of skill set, different set of capabilities, different set of performance. So at the end, all 3 being set to every individual, considering all that set, goal set, whatever is being done for him, there will be a gap for an individual. There can be a guy potentially more capable to bear it. Okay. So the check and balance being more of done by an area sales manager to largely deliver his 20 crores or whatever being set for that territory. Where what all are the competencies is largely uses. He'll be largely uses actually delegating things. Okay. Start monitoring their performance, giving them a lot of feedback. His expertise of some 15 years down the line or 10 years down the line, whatever he acquired, experiences which he had handling different situations, guide these as sales representative was, this is the way, you have to do it. If you do this can happen. What is the impact on some of the actions? Okay, that's the way he start developing his sales representative, driving his revenue, whatever being generated. Now, regional manager is a next level of growth where he start handling multiple ASMs. What is the difference between an ASM and RM? ASM handles only an individual contributor. Okay, he have a person handling a smaller territory. Expertise will be somewhere around 0 to 3 or 0 to 5 years. His experience in the industry is relatively low. He'll be fresh, maybe fresh from out of a college. So a lot of hand holding required. But an RM handles an ASM. So area sales manager, what we spoken about at managing others, is relatively a 10 plus years of experience guy or 8 plus years of experience. Largely they'll be at 8 to 15 years of tenure. So this guy have a good expertise in the industry. Okay, have seen a lot of people handling. So his delegation will be, or maybe largely that RM will start doing a coaching for him. He will be aspiring him to become an RM. So keep motivating him, okay, driving him to achieve more, creating leadership within him. So hence, there are a lot of leadership being built across the managing others population. What will happen if I create a lot of leaders below to me, okay, leadership skills below to me, the organization start growing exponentially, okay. So the regional manager's focus will be, he may be handling a state, okay, just think Tamil Nadu being handled by that RM, okay. He will have around 5 or 6 ASMs plotted in different districts, handling multiple districts, okay, multiple sales representatives. He will start focusing on developing the ASMs to a regional manager. The more of inputs will be on actually transition happening towards an RM, towards building their leadership. The organization expects that. The last, not the last one, I'm just shown one vertical up to HM. There are a lot of other layers above this. A zonal manager may be handling multiple states. Okay, that individual, he become a business leader. Okay, he may be handling around roughly in a tractor or automobile industry. A zonal manager will be handling roughly 1,000 crores to 2,000 crores turnover. Okay, so you can understand that individual's role, how valuable it is. Somewhere around 2,000 crores is actually not a smaller amount. Okay, so OBBS, the skill set which will be leading is more of leadership competencies. He will start building a culture for the organization. Why I exit, or why there is a requirement for this organization is, why this job role required, okay, why a sales representative is required, why these products stand, what purpose this brand stands. He start communicating or creating a culture which, why this business exit, or maybe actually being there, okay, why we do the business. Each organization is not able to create that purpose within these employees. Obviously that organization will actually die in the forthcoming years. So obviously that cultural building is something important to actually at the level of a managing leaders. Okay, and he built the people managers below to him so that actually the organization moves. Any questions in this slide? Can I proceed to the next one?
So you can continue. We'll have a question and answer session at the end of the session, sir.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay,
Yes, sir.
yeah, yeah. So I have summarized what will happen in each level just for your understanding. So the difference is very simply I have plotted. Managing self is execution, assistance, and delivery of tasks. That's what is happening. Managing others when it comes to get work done through others. They will actually start delivering through others. Managing managers start leading managers. Okay, and where managing leaders strives and set direction for organization. Okay, so moreover the complexity start growing up to the right hand side, and deliveries accountability goes up to the right hand side. Okay, now the important part of is actually, now I told all these stories how the organization built these. Okay, a few things I want to actually tell you. All of you are actually second year students, especially the first year students have more time. Okay, when you come to an organization, okay, when you start a career, today most of us, we have seen a challenging thing. Okay, from the students or maybe the new generation, Gen X, or it's more, is it whatever Gen Z, which is actually start working to the organization, want to do a valuable thing purpose. It's obviously good, but an organizational ladder, when you work, you have to actually see, feel, touch actually all the minute things of a function. Then only you can actually lead a team. Okay, for example, if you don't see a product, okay, if I didn't think actually, if you don't touch, you see a consumer, you don't go and actually talk to a consumer, you didn't understood to a consumer or a customer, you didn't see a product. Okay, you didn't really touch your hand on that product, or maybe you cannot become an engineer, or you cannot become a sales representative. So the same way, when you walk into an organization, keep your leading inclusiveness. Each organization changes. Okay, each business entity is very different. Okay, you set where you want to, what you want. That is your choice. But when you actually make a choice, join, actually start learning with a lot of inclusiveness. Actually, grab as much as possible. Okay, when you see, when you walk into organization, okay, try to do the smaller things also with a lot of enjoyment. Okay, touch it as much as, keep a track for you, don't do it till your career ends. Okay, but in the initial stages, please ensure you actually do the smallest things. Okay, so you understand the essence of that function more clear. When you become an HR person, walk around the corner, talk to the employees. Okay, where you will start understanding the basics of a HR. That you can do the first year. I didn't think you have to walk, you have to be there in a chair sitting for the entire whole day working with a PPT. Try whether you can actually spend time on the shop floor or an office, wherever you've been. If you've been in an IT sector also, go around, talk to the people. You will get a lot of understanding as an HR person. Okay, so now the transition, when it helps, how organization facilitate the transition. Okay, now I want a managing self fast to move up to others, managing others, managing others to managing managers to managing leaders. Any organization or any individual wants to happen this transition, but there are inflations which you have to do a larger leaps, which is actually to cater this. Okay, I'm not taking all the possible way where the career pathing can be done. I have taken the major two part of it, but it essentially touches most of it. Okay, where your head of the department, starting the session, he was mentioning about performance management. I have taken only one part of performance management, which is competency management. Okay, performance management and competency management, most of the organization, it been integrated. So I will tell you about competency management and talent identification and segmentation. These are the two things which relatively facilitate the transition of an individual from layer to layer, moving from role to role, by increasing your skill and knowledge. Okay, before going into this, individual has to be ready to take the learning, and he should be open to actually learn. That individual should be able to grab the things. He should be actually uh, doing a lot of self learning process, taking a lot of initiatives to learn. Otherwise this journey will become tough and you will actually end up in MO or MS. Okay, depends upon your efforts. Transition management is competency management, largely looks on your skills, knowledge and ability. Okay, where in talent identification and segmentation largely talks about your performance and potential. Okay, so these two things, how it look, how we actually take it forward. Now, competency, most of you know, I think most of you would have been gone either a session, otherwise we would have been actually undergone some of the certification courses. So basically the knowledge, skill and ability, it's a continuous journey. A competency journey for an organization, it's a continuous, okay. It's not talking about an inflation. That means there is no, it's not being really used moving and managing self individual to managing others. But competency management is really help the organization to build the competency, improve the competency in each and every moment, each and every phase of an individual, with a consistent effort to actually scale it up the competencies of an individual or organization. Okay. If you see, when it comes to the side, you can see the framework which talk competency framework, how it's important. Okay, recruitment, selection, training and development, your performance management, R&R, career management, all these revolves around your competencies. Now, what is a competency? Most of you know. I don't want to take through. So how the process is, okay, each organization, the process may slightly differ, and each organization, the models may differ. There are multiple models in competency management. Okay, so I think you refer it, you understand. I'm just talking only on the competency management process, considering the time factor. Okay, where you start defining the competency for the organization. It's a larger work, okay, where you involves values, culture and business plan of an organization built for 3 to 4 or maybe for a larger tenure of years, revisited maybe in 5 years one time, may not be so revisited this. So competencies be defined by the organization. The competencies, when you define, you may require a competency dictionary which talks about to the employees or managers what is all about that competency. Okay, for example, interpersonal skills, if you take that as a competency, what is competency means that interpersonal skills for TAFE may vary from interpersonal skills from Google. Okay, interpersonal skill of Murugappa may be different than that, because competencies is perceived for the values, culture and business what actually been existing. So relatively it will be slight changes, modifications will be there in the definition how it reads. So that required to be explained to the employees in terms of, so that they understand this what is interpersonal skills means in this organization. Okay, and levels of competencies, they will start talking about level 1, level 2, you can call novians, whatever it is. Okay, so you may have multiple levels in competencies, how the journey starts. Okay, then you start plotting. For example, managing self, interpersonal skills need to be high because they interact with multiple stakeholders. They may go around shop floors talking to the production supervisors, your operators. Okay, he will go around to the different function and get, so your interpersonal skills need to be very high. But managing others, it can be in a different level, may not be required. High interpersonal skills may not be required, because he will have some competencies which may other competencies which may require higher sort of a level of expertise. So it vary from level to level. So how it differs, how it's been read, how being actually that defined, and how that individual manager or an employee will understand these sort of a behavioral traits. If I display in this organization, this is the way the competencies being mapped. Okay, that's what being actually competency dictionary largely does. Then it moves to competency mapping. So you really required function wise, role wise, you start plotting it. Okay, each function may require a set of competencies, different function may require a little different one. A negotiation skills will be very high competency for a materials or supply chain management guys, and a sales guy may not be that very high skills required in for some other function. Okay, so it may vary. and it's actually plotted in such a way. Then it moves to competency assessment, where you start performance management plays a major role in this. Most of the organization because performance management is a continuous process where you have a system process already been defined. So you plot competency assessment also as part of it to ensure the continuity and easiness for the your people manager to assess, do it, and it linked to the performance also, because there are a lot of correlation between competency and performance. So that correlations to bring it being attached most of the companies to performance management system itself. Now assessment happens individual competencies to a required proficiency level. Okay. Now manager HR organization have a set of requirement in each competencies what been defined in behavioral or functional competencies. Is that individual is showcasing that behaviors in the work he does. Okay. How this competency is being observed? Multiple options where you can do feedbacks, 360-degree feedback from individuals to understand EC displays in a complex process, or maybe a simple process where your people manager and your people managers manager or managing managers guy sit together, discuss, and actually start plotting. These are the behaviors I have seen in some sort of situations where you keep a critical incident diary or something where you plot it and actually talk to him. So then you plot against to the required proficiency level, what is its actual proficiency level. Then your training need gaps, all that being comes, and you plot a training and try to continuously improve the skill set of individual from one level to other where he stands over years. So it's a continuous journey. Competency enhancements really required for career path. Okay, unless and until you don't really grow it or actually enrich it, you cannot actually go from one level to other level. Organizations are changed. Tenure doesn't define now your career path assurity. Previously, maybe the 10 years down the line, if you've been worked with an organization for 10 years, you would have become an AGM handling team. So that environment is changed. Okay. Moreover, organizations are looking for individuals who is really capable to take lead in organization to take to the next leap or next journey. So very choosy the organization become to choose the specialists, choose the leaders of the organization. So competency enhancement is very critical. Even if you start moving out of your college, start working, keep your track what happens, new things in the industry, new things in HR, certifications what you really required to actually take some of the skills which you require to grow further in your ladder. Okay, so individual have a lot. What I'm trying to emphasize to all of you is individual have a lot of scope or responsibility for the career path movement. Okay. Now we'll come to talent identification segmentations. This journey is slightly different. Okay, where you how you do it. Okay, I think you may be recollecting my previous slide where I've spoken about performance and potential. Okay, these are the identification segmentation area which largely most of the organization work to understand inflation points. Okay, this doesn't happen across. Not everybody, most of the organization doesn't do for every individual talent identification or segmentation. How they do it, I will explain in the next. So it for a set of people. Okay, if you refer to this, maybe done for a managing self to managing others. In managing self itself, you will have multiple layer band. Okay, it's called a band where you will have multiple layer. Okay, for example, you can join as an executive HR. Okay, or management trainee in an organization, and maybe in the first year, once you become confirmed to complete your 1 year tenure, you've been relatively get promoted as an assistant manager. Okay. But you may be still in a managing self. Okay. But next role, you've been working with talent management. You were a recruiter. You just think easy to connect. You start sourcing. You are actually trying to call candidates, line up interviews, and you were doing more of part of it. But the journey of 5-6 years down the line, there is an opportunity of a talent acquisition manager. Okay, a team leader for that vertical. You may not be just got elevated to that. Okay, most of the organizations start assessing the capability of that individual using a development center model. Okay, that is the inflation point. And an MS to MO, an assistant manager to a manager, where you maybe actually become a team leader instead of telling the designation, a team member to a team leader. Okay, the journey may be facilitated or maybe actually largely handholded by a development center, where it's more of an inflation point. Not only the performance, not only your tenure, there are something else being looked at. Okay, then the same, it may happen from managing others to managing managers. Obvious, from managing managers to managing leaders is most complex process, because organization want best in class leaders in place. Okay, so now I'll go back to this. Okay, now I've spoken about competency. Okay, what they will look into an individual. Okay, now I have set up, for example, I want to choose for example, I want to choose an area sales manager, or leave area sales manager, regional manager, managing managers level. Okay, a regional manager when I require. Okay, I may have an area sales manager for a state 5. So I may have for all put together around 60, 65 area sales managers across India. Okay, who will most out of that, most of them will be there for last 3-4 years down the line, and will be having same set of experience. Tenor would have been put in different role, either with the same company or maybe with another company combination. If you see, he would have worked for a 10 years down the line. Okay, so a regional manager at 12 years required, 10 years of tenor. Obviously all 65 are eligible. So but anyway, you cannot give all 65 one role. Okay, so you have to filter, or you have to actually start identifying or segment them. Okay, what all are things you can use for that? One is competency. Obvious, if your organization is continuously monitoring the journey of competencies, tracking the competency journey, you will have a set of record of it. Okay, so more of where you talk, when competencies talks about, you evaluate a guy for the set required proficiency level of that level, or maybe one level above. I didn't think it may not be actually looked up to so above the line. Most of assessment a manager will be doing for that role itself. So the competency being largely assessed for that role. Okay, so competency is one matrix which can be considered. So next one is, I have a performance history. Okay, an individual consistently delivering the targets or deliverables, whatever is set for him. Obvious, he is one of the best employee for me. So I may have 10 or 10% or 20% of the overall 65. Okay, become the high performing populations or a high performance organization call. Okay, what I will take the rating if I have a forced bell curve in the system, or I may have rating system, relative rating system in the place. I would have been taken multiple combinations of my performance rating. The top 2 rating would have been taken into 3 years or 4 years down the line, how they've been performing consistently. So more of a performance is linked to present job and related to others. Okay, for example, when I consider an area sales manager's performance, okay, what is the challenge you think? The challenge is he may be delivered, or he may be his team member below him or a sales representative would have been helped him to deliver. Is his real performance, or his 5 of his sales representatives are really capable? Okay, or maybe they are the stars in the function, so that all club together, their performance or collective performance become actually an area sales manager's performance. He may be getting consistently the numbers delivery through these other 5 people. Or maybe one other option is the regional sales manager may be helping that area sales manager to deliver, where he may be relatively low, but still the regional sales manager want to achieve his deliverable, so he is pitching one level below, trying to support this ASM. So the third option, the market itself is supporting. Okay, my market is growing. My market is almost 150% growth. So obviously that guy may achieve his targets. So that segment, for example, Chennai, the market is obviously booming. The numbers achieving will become relatively easy for a sales guy. So at the end, ASM may be considered doing. But so performance is always, there is a risk of relative performance to someone else. Okay, so but you require to consider performance because it's a solid matrix which is available. Then the potential. Okay, what is potential? We'll talk in the next page. Before that, how the potential will considered. Okay, now competency, performance, tenure. Tenure is the time spent in a role for a by an individual. Okay, all this combination in out of the 60 numbers which we spoken as area sales managers, all these we become positive to somewhere around 15 of them. Okay, that means competency is continuously improving. Okay, and performance is consistently he has actually been the star in that maybe for 3-4 down the years, and his tenure in the role is around 3 to 4 years. Okay, all this is positive for 15 of guys. Now I have only one position. I have 15 odd number of area sales managers who been relatively with the all metrics is what I have been withstanding with good performance, okay, or good track record. Now I had to identify the potential among that. Okay, what is potential? Potential is a person who is able to take the next role maybe in 4 to 6 years, or maybe next for example, he can become a zonal manager down the line in 4 or 6 years down the line. That means a two overlap or maybe two levels growth. He can do it in a period of 4 years or 5 years. That means a solid guy who knows the subject. He is an expert. He is having leadership competencies. He is able to develop his people. Lot of matrices comes into that place. So potential is a person in that way. Now you have to measure the potential. Okay, something which I will talk about. I think most of you would have been heard about this or maybe read about this. If you are not, please go through this. There is one of the model which most of the organizations in India currently uses. Ramcharan's 9-box matrix, performance potential matrix. Okay, now how you will plot it? I'll talk about these metrics a little later. How you will plot it? There is something called development center. Initial stages it was known as an assessment center. Okay, but the assessment as such for an existing employee or an individual who been working with an organization become little what we'll call a negative word. So the assessment slightly taken a transition to a development center. Okay, so it become a developmental objective action. So but the process is purely assessment for all of our understanding. Okay, now the set of 15 guys, okay, they've been working in a conditioned environment where a possibility of lot of influences, lot of things would have been facilitated their growth or performance or maybe skill set improvement. There is a system or a simulation created for them in such a place. Maybe they have to stay 0 to 2 days in a place together, all 15 guys, and create or give them or challenge them in whatever the next level. Okay, for example, a regional manager level, what is a business environment? Okay, what sort of decisions he has to take, where all he has to pitch in terms of handling businesses, where all he has to pitch in terms of creating people decisions, where all he has to take choices of delegating to different people, negotiating or influencing different stakeholders. Create all that environment into a setup, okay, where you multiple testers, okay, which can be a psychometric tool, which can be an there are a few very popular inbox where you will get multiple emails. You start prioritizing which you have to actually do at what stage. So give him a time, very created environment where he start driving his business or his region or his zone or his state, okay, and taking decisions, trying to help others to deliver whatever is actually expected out of it. And experts with veterans in the industry, maybe behavioral observers who have rich experience in that area of expertise, okay, they will be observing them physically available there, observing them through their feedbacks, give them in the feedbacks in then and there, trying to monitor their functional and behavioral competency level displayed, okay, and try to plot them in a based. Then again that behavioral or observation DC report, whatever we take, again it become combinations may be used in different organization. Your performance history would have been plotted it and do some algorithm and come out with a 9-box matrix. Okay, the 9-box matrix, if you see it would have been very elaborately given. It's very easy to understand. One side, normally it plots your performance, your lower performance, moderate performance, or high performance. One side it talks about the potential of that individual in terms of behavioral and functional competencies to take to the next level of role. Okay, how it displayed through the developmental center, which is actually carried out. Now the red one, very clear, they are not doing good. Okay, or maybe they are actually not as expected as at their level. Okay, so then potential gem. Okay, but you just think potential gem, you say a guy who is high potential but he is not able to do the performance, his performance is very low. So will any organization develop him? It's a question. The green ones, the three, high potential, star, and high performer. Okay, where individual potential is also high, moderate performance is available, high potential is there, and high performance is also there. Moderate potential is there, high performance is also there. In this sort of a situation, these are the three blocks. Wherever these employees of out of 15 being plotted to different blocks, whoever comes in these three blocks will be considered largely for the transition to a larger leadership roles, or maybe to the one level to the other one. Okay, so now you got it. You got it actually, how it been plotted, how the system development center works. It's all, please understand, competency management and the development center. The entire session required maybe around 2-3 days time to actually elaborate. I'm giving you a fair idea how it operates in an organization. You read the books. I will actually share the books names to Vishruth so that you can refer it later, actually understand it more better. Okay, now if you move, I have plotted the guys. Should the organization facilitate it? Okay, so what are the possible way, or maybe how the organization, you see, one very important thing is individual development program, which is a outcome of a normal development center. Once you plot your 9-box matrix, okay, these 3-box individuals, okay, I will take him, okay, and the organization will choose them as the next gen leaders, okay, or maybe the transition required managers. Will sit with them, the management, that means actually your people manager or functional head and the HR leaders, and along with that individual sit and plot his individual development plan. Okay, multiple options will be given. The multiple options can lead to starting from reading books, okay, given an experience through different projects, through experiential learning. Okay, sending him to some of the areas he required. For example, a regional sales manager required a business financial acumen. So not necessary an area sales manager competency is very high in a financial acumen. Okay, but the score lower in that doesn't indicate he cannot become a regional manager. But I have to develop him in that area. So the financial acumen as such required to be provided. I had to send him for a financial acumen program, which may be required in experts sessions or certifications, where he has to actually undergo for a set number of days. Okay, so individual development program is largely owned by that individual. Okay, it's my responsibility as an individual employee to execute whatever is the plan plotted, facilitated by the organization, manager, and HR. Okay, there are responsibility for each of us. So, and slowly try to develop him in that competencies where he required, or maybe set of 8 competencies being assessed. 6 competencies will become strength. 2 competencies is not relatively strength. That means his area of improvement it becomes. The larger work will happen in that. Okay, so that he can actually take it up to the next level. Competency development program is, as organization continues, it's a continuous journey. So where continuous functional and behavioral competency management programs will be run, different training programs will be run across the functions to consistently scale up the performance or skill of the organization. And management development program is, most of the organization will have a general management skill development initiatives, where the most of your top or high potential guys being actually undergoing through a structured sessions with attaching with IEMs or maybe different sort of set of environments. These people will undergo through a structured program. Okay, And I think I'm done with my session. Okay, so the platform is open for questions. I think I'm trying to keep as much as my pace to meet the time. I don't know how I went, so please, it's platform is for yours to raise your questions.
So now participant can unmute themselves and ask the questions or post the question in the chat box.
So I have a question.
Please.
So in the nine box grid, you mentioned risk area. So will we hire them in the first place, or if we hire them and we know they are this, we'll fire him, or will we train him to the next level?
Okay. See, you have you know will skill metrics.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you would have, because most of you would have been already gone. Okay, in will skill metrics, there is an individual who have a skill who doesn't have a will. What you will do with them?
Uh, we'll fire him.
Okay, it's a tough discussion. Actually, it's a tough decision for organizations. Okay, most of the organizations, be genuine, because all of us is HR. Once in a way, you are actually you will walk to an HR paternity with one of the organization. You will also face it's a challenging thing, but you have to keep the performance of the organization live. Okay, for example, a potential gem. Okay, if you see the yellow colors, there is a scope to develop them. Okay, the yellow one, which is potential jump core player. Core player is very you see, core player is not a replaceable employee. Okay, understand when I plot it, please understand it's not required you to all of the employees to be at 3 boxes. Okay, I told you are actually grow in your ladder inflation points. If you have to cross it, you require to be in 3 plots. Okay. Now in core player, that means he's a pillar of that function. There is somebody who is an expert. Okay, who consistently deliver. He see moderate performance, moderate potential. He is actually able to achieve his targets. He is actually good, fairly moderate in his performance. Okay, he is consistently delivering. His standard operating procedure skill is very good. His understanding about that function is good. Okay, I require that sort of individuals also. Organization cannot thrive with only the talents. Okay, it requires talents, but equally you require a solid performer or a core player to keep the function. This individual may not move to another company. Okay, he will continue with me. So the uh, knowledge bandwidth of these individual become actually with the organization itself. Okay, so it helps the organization to keep its knowledge. Okay, but he may not be able to move. His journey may be stagnated in one layer. He may not be able to move to the leadership roles. Okay, that is when you communicate to him, make him as a specialist. For example, in HR, compensation benefits. Okay, or any vertical, I'm taking compensation benefits as an area. It's easy to relate. If you see a compensation benefits experts and he loves to be in compensation benefits, and that position is there with an organization for a longer run. Okay, but he cannot become a HR head for compensation benefits. Okay, but he can become a specialist in that area, continue being there. Okay, his growth within the organization may be relatively lower. The pace of the growth may be relatively lower than a person who been looking or aspiring to be head of that function. Okay, head of HR function. The same way for a learning and development, I become a specialist. I don't want to become a HR head. I want to become a head of learning and development. And my core competencies or core is actually in that. So obvious, there's nothing wrong to be in that way. And you can actually, it's a choice of an individual, it's a choice of an organization. So most probably core player will remain. Solid performer, I didn't think very high performance. You see, his performance is peak. Why I have to lose a guy at ASM level who consistently delivering my 20 crores every month? I don't lose. I will keep him there. I am communicating to him, boss, you require to work a lot. Okay, there is a scope to move to 3 boxes, but your growth may be relatively lower. Okay, your pace of growth will become, but that's a communication you are supposed to do with that individual. Say that, boss, you are good at this, you are good at ASM, you are actually delivering the numbers, you are actually consistently handling the dealers. Very nice. You are actually good, but you grow to a regional manager level, you require to improve in this area. Focus on that, you start doing. So solid performer also need not to be actually removed. He can continue if the role required. Then potential, James, I have high potential, but I don't deliver. Then it's a problem. Where it's all practical. What happens in industry, I talk. Okay, it can change from organization to organization with your experiences. Okay, now if you go to high potential guy and lower performance, I feel you talk to him very strongly, saying that you have the skill. Okay, you have the knowledge, you have the leadership competencies too, but your deliveries are not at par with the organization. Okay, so you please see, put him a PAP. You put very clearly, give him a performance improvement plan. Okay, in place, talk to him. Clearly set his standards. Say that, boss, if you are not able to actually achieve or deliver this, then there is a problem for you. Okay, he may actually change. He may actually come up very well because he already have skill. If he start thinking about I have to deliver, obviously he will do it. Okay. Now, inconsistent player and a risk and average performer. I think relatively most organizations take a most of them will take a choice of maybe fire. Will try to, all of them will have a PAP in place. Most of the organization will give a PAP, not straight go and actually fire people. Okay, they will actually work with them, try to actually put again individual development plan will be plotted to them also. Okay, with less more of actually their own interest, organization interest will be relatively lower, investment will be relatively lower, but individual has to scale it up himself. But given time, given tenor, that for that individual will be relatively lower because my performance is getting affected. Okay, no organization or leaders will allow lower performance. Okay, drives the other 80% of my population's performance, and my 80 of odd number of people is actually achieving 100 or 95, okay, or 110. Out of 20 of them are actually performing at 50. That's a problem for the organization because overall your 110 will become at 80 or 75. You are trying to lower your performance, keeping them. So obviously there will be some calls will be taken at that point of time. But fair amount, fair of time, discussions, try to develop them, all being responsibility of an HR function or an HR individual. We have to facilitate.
Okay. Okay.
I think I've been answered.
Yes, sir. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Any other question? Vishruth, I think there is no other question.
No.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
So I would like Ashwati to render vote of thanks now.
yeah, please.
Yeah, Ashwati, over to you.
Thank you, Divya. Before you're a leader, success is all about growing yourself. When you become a leader, success is all about growing others. I, Ashwati of First MHRM, take this wonderful opportunity to thank our esteemed speaker, Mr. Varshad V Varghese, Manager HR in TEFE, for sharing his valuable insights and knowledge on the topic Journey of Managing Self to Managing Leaders of Leaders. I would like to share a few takeaways from today's session. Expectations on a best career pathing depends upon personal attitude, learning inclusiveness, and interpersonal skills. Career pathing can be a critical component in employee engagement and employee retention. Talent identification is identifying and nurturing the talent and enabling high potential of the individual. People management delegate team goals, team factor that equals T factor. Small things integrate to best outcomes through following the SOP. Last but not the least, learning is always a continuous process. We, as future HR, should really work on understanding provided by our lively speaker. Sharing is caring is an age old proverb. True to this thought, I would like to thank the pillar of our department, our HOD, Dr.N.C. Martin, for arranging this webinar, and Professor Subatani for her support to organize this webinar and for providing us with the enlightening tour to the pragmatic arena of HR. Finally, I extend my gratitude to participants from various professions and students. Kindly fill up the feedback form which is provided in the chat below with your name and email ID. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.